This episode is brought to you by LeaderBoard Customs. Look good, feel good, play good. He's an incredible shoe artist, and you can save $20 by using code SAVEPAR20 during the month of July. It's LeaderBoardCustoms.com. Again, that's LeaderBoardCustoms.com. Luke, first off, just want to thank you for being on the podcast. This is by far the most exciting podcast that we are definitely doing. Granted, we've only done 3, but golf shoes, 2 best combinations, right?
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys. I'm excited to be on, and you guys have done a great job so far. So I've got some big shoes to fill, but I'm excited. No pun intended.
Should we talk about the shoes we're all wearing? Because that was kind of a big thing today.
Yes.
I kind of started it. So I've got the black Levi's 4s. They're kind of like one of my babies. I bought them as like a Valentine's Day gift to myself because I am important to myself and no one else right now, but that's all that matters.
They're sick. In person?
Yeah. So I thought about like getting another pair and just dressing them. And then the prices have just skyrocketed and it's, I can't, no.
Yeah. Not to distress them. It's like you either got to kind of, see the thing with Dom is he's like a huge collector as well, but He's one of those that rocks his shoes, which is like I'm kind of which I love, but I'm kind of in a combination of
every shoe that I own that I can wear. I've worn. I have some I have an original Flint 12 from '97. I can't wear it because it's like falling apart, and then like I have an original like Flint 7 from '02, which it's like a size 8, and I can't wear it anyways.
What do you got rocking right now?
So I've got the retro military blue 4s.
I thought they were the motorsports.
I had a pair of the motorsports.
Motorsports are black, aren't they?
The black, yeah. Okay, well, since we're talking right off the bat, what's like in your vault of shoes? What's probably your like one of your top 3 like shoes of all time? It doesn't have to be golf; it just be any type of shoe. So
for sure, anything 3 related, I love 3. I guess my top 3 silhouettes would be the 3s, the 11s, and the 4s. And so the Bread 11s I've got, they have not been worn.
Those are stored away.
Those are stored away for. And the bad thing is I got them when they released, and I've been looking for a reason to wear them. And because of COVID last year, I just haven't had any excuse to wear them. But the Concords and then the Fire Red 3s are probably the top 3 in my collection, just because they're all OG colorways.
I love my Mocha 3s. I know it's not an OG in any way. Well, kind of. I mean, they came out, 01, 02, something like that originally. And they sat on shelves everywhere. I have beat mine to bits. And then because I wasn't working for a short period, I had to sell my backup pair to like pay for my car and everything. So that was really hard for me because I also had the UNC 3s, not the one with the UNC on the tongue, but like the one that was hard to get on
that
sneakers.
One just released within the last 2 years.
Yeah. I hit on it on sneakers and then I'm like, I got to sell them now. And it's something that I really miss. I'm not even a big Jordan guy. Like my all-time favorite is the Air Max 1.
Yeah,
like something about that shoe, and like the golf versions are super cool.
Yeah, the golf versions are awesome. I love the golf versions.
Yeah, I know you're a big 11 guy.
11s, the ones, I obviously love the ones. Unfortunately, I kind of have a shorter leg, so like the 1 highs are my favorite, but the 1 highs on a shorter leg just don't really gel.
Hard to wear.
It is. It really is. So that is probably my favorite shoes. The 1, but the 11s, the Space Jams, the Breads, of course.
You into cool grays?
I like the cool grays. I did purchase a pair of the 96 Bread 11s at one time. I ended up selling them, but that's probably one of my all-time favorite shoes.
I guess the disappointing part is all the OGs you can't keep and not wear them because the midsoles just crumble. If you guys saw the recent video of the ones that the guy just put his finger through,
put his thumb up, yeah,
it depends.
It was crazy.
If they're worn. The foam doesn't seize the same because it gets elastic and stuff like that. So some of them are wearable. And then if it's like a Jordan 1, they should still be. I assume the rubber doesn't like split.
Sure.
Right.
But because we've seen PJ Tucker pull out 85 ones
The stuff he pulls out's crazy.
It's insane. I know. I honestly thought that was cake when the guy was putting the thumb on that. For a second, I'm like, I thought that was fake.
If you look at all the replies, everyone is saying is that cake. I'm like, no, those are real midsoles.
That's like my big pet peeves when people like, oh, you can't wear your shoes like that. I'm just like, wear your damn shoes. It's what they're like. Just wear them. Like,
right.
That's why you have a rotation, right? So I'm trying to get a little bit better at that, where it's like, don't just let them sit in your shoe, your sneaker boxes or your clear cases, because that's kind of what I have. And it's
I have the boxes.
Yeah, you have to really just try to rotate and use them. So I'm getting better, but I do definitely have a few that I like to stow away.
And then you're wearing the Tiger.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Tiger Woods Customs. Thanks to LeaderBoard Customs. I love these.
The one that set it off, man.
I know. I love them. They're about a half size too small, but I can still curve my toes in a little bit and get them in. So
those sizings are crazy on the 13s, because if you guys saw the ones I recently did, I bought a beater pair a couple years ago of 11 and a half, and that's my true to size. Mm-hmm. So I got them and I didn't try them on because the insoles were all messed up. So I got them, cleaned them up, and I knew I was going to do something to them. I just didn't have time to do them. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so I did the baby blue with the black to kind of mimic a Nike ID I did years and years ago when that was still a thing. And I took them to the course, ready to prep them and wear them. Too big. They just, the sizing were just ridiculous on those. So I'm a little bummed that they don't fit.
Are you gonna stash those? Are you gonna eventually sell those, or what's your plan with that?
I think I'm just gonna put them in a case and just have them. They turn out really well, so I think I'll just put them in a display case in my office and just have them for a show.
I think a next project, what I'd like to do is a pair of all black and try to do like the cement look on a black, like a black on the all black Tiger. If I could find the 13s or even kind of a newer one, whichever. But I normally kind of prefer, like for golf, like a lighter looking shoe or like white. But I think a black would be pretty dope.
For sure. And here in Oklahoma, because it gets so hot, believe it or not, you wear black shoes, your feet get hot. Sure. And so I don't think I have. I probably got maybe 40, 45 pairs of golf shoes. Not a single one are a solid black.
That's it?
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's way more than
my problem is that if you got an all white shoe and you go out to the course, you're like, I don't want to, with certain conditions, you don't want to play in if it's muddy or wet. And so about 80% of the time, I just wear the old same old shoes. And my buddies are like, you customize and pimp out all these shoes. Why are you wearing like ones you wear every single time you play golf? I'm like, that's just the way it is.
Weather condition. Yeah. And that's kind of the same with these Tigers. Like I still haven't played, I brought them all to like the range and stuff just to, because again, they are a little small, but same thing. I'm kind of that same way. It's like, I have my select few shoes that I wear the whole time, even though I have a few other golf shoes that I should wear, but I don't. I kind of store them away. But definitely a conversation piece. I love them. I did add the little
zip tie.
I had to kind of go. We're gonna go with the custom off-white. Kind of had to add the zip tie. So, but yeah, I love these. There was so many. We had so many comments and feedback on those shoes.
That was almost a year and a half ago now, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
It's been about that long, yeah.
And kind of just to feed off of that,
dude.
Totally forgot to turn my.
You had like one job,
and then I was ruined it. Let's start this over.
No,
I'm just kidding. Do you want to just kind of give us a little bit of background on, your backstory, LeaderBoard Customs,
what
you do, how you do it?
Yeah, love to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. So I've always been a sneakerhead, going all the way back to, third or fourth grade. Funny enough, my mom got me a pair of the Air Jordan 1s, and I was a little kid, and I just, something about basketball appealed to me. So I was always a big basketball fan and a big MJ fan. And so as I got older, it became a tradition that every Christmas I got the new Jordan release, whatever it was, my mom would get them for me. And so that was my big present every year. And I remember getting the
present right there. That's me. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I didn't care if I got anything else. Just if I got the Jordans, I was super happy. And one year when the 11s came out, the Concord 11s, my buddy got a pair of the Grant Hills, the Filas. Mm-hmm. And he called me up, and we lived in the same apartment complex. And he was like, "What'd you get?" And I told him what we got. And he's like, "Dude, we have to go hoop in them." This was Christmas Day, and it was snowing outside. We went outside, played on the playground, and I scuffed the Jordan, the 11, the patent leather. I scuffed it within like 10 minutes of wearing that. It hurt my heart. I was so upset. But so fast forward a little bit, of course, I ended up getting into golf around 24, 25. And because I ended up hurting my ankle real bad and didn't go anywhere as far as basketball was concerned. And so started picking up golf a little bit here and there. And then maybe 3 years after picking it up, I took it seriously, started taking lessons, getting into golf tournaments and really playing competitively and just trying to get as good as I could. And so when I started playing, there wasn't a lot of fashionable options when it came to golf shoes. And so it's not been, the past 5 or 6 years, Nike has really made a big impression on the golf world with the shoes. And I got a pair of the all white Roshis probably 4 or 5 years ago, and whenever they came out, and they've been sitting in my closet. And I had a little bit of a background in like customizing shoes, just trying to paint stuff on them, just basically make them my own, trying to have like a player edition without being a player.
Kind of like the Nike ID almost in a sense, kind of like creating your own style. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure. But so I ended up getting those, and I started researching on how you can make customs that are durable, because I knew if I went out to the golf course and didn't do them right, that the paint would chip or crack or just not last. And so I came up on a guy's page. His name is Dylan DeJesus, and he does his page, and his company is DeJesus Custom Footwear. And by far the most influential person out there, in my opinion, when it comes to customizing shoes and doing it the right way and making them last.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned them, or you've told me about him, I think. So I might have sent you a DM on that, kind of talked about it briefly.
Yeah, and those Joker customs I did, and then the USA ones I just did were some of the stuff that he did. I was like, I have to try it, see how it turns out. So the credit for the artwork and his ideas are phenomenal. But he has a tutorial almost like every maybe 2 or 3 a week. He just pushes out how to do certain things. And quite honestly, that's really where I've learned how to do customs and how to make it last as long as they do. And so, just this past year when you reached out to me, and I don't even know how you found me. Like I posted those, the all white Roshis. I ended up just putting some like pearlescent blue on the swooshes and some splatters, super simple, and posted them on GolfWorks. And a lot of people started talking about it and liking them. And I just got a few people reached out like, hey, could you do this for me? And I always said no, because I was concerned that if they gave me money
they weren't going to turn out quality wise or
right. And these were not my shoes. Right. So if I messed them up, I had to buy new shoes for them, or worst case scenario, doing a pair and them getting them and them not lasting. And so one guy, I told him I was fine. I was like, all right, I'll do it under the understanding that I don't know how these are going to last. Like I've worn mine 2 or 3 times and they've done a good job holding up with the paint and everything, but I want you to be aware this could not end well. And so he was like, no, I'm totally cool with it. So I did those for him and sent them to him. And after a few rounds, he's like, dude, these are awesome. They're holding up well. They're doing great. So next thing I know, you reached out to me and wanted me to do a pair, and we did it. And quite honestly, the rest is history.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how that even came about too. I'm assuming I probably saw it through a hashtag of some sort, or like I said, maybe GolfWorks. But that's kind of the beauty of the social media, right? I mean, it just takes like one person to kind of like, oh, that is awesome, and then kind of just run with it. And then again, I've kind of reiterated. We both kind of talked about it. The whole Save Par Golf is, I mean, it's a big community, right? We try to continue to grow the game, whether it's footwear, anything really. And it's awesome to see other companies grow. And it kind of like makes me feel good. Like I did some sort of part to help that person, take off or continue to grow. Cause at the end of the day, you put out awesome material. So you have to do that. And I'm just kind of helping help people see your work. So it's pretty cool. Kind of goes hand in hand.
Golf is so multifaceted with all these different regions of golf, not even just in the game, but the equipment, stuff like that. It's like I have my clubs done I have a couple wedges done through House of Golf. They're out in California and Costa Mesa. absolutely love talking with Jason over there. He always goes, hey, if we do this, they're not, whatever, they're going to get beat up, they're going to look weird. My 56 and my 60 degree are done by him. They are UNC inspired. So
really
they're
cool.
all white. They have the blue hosel, blue letters. They look just sweet. And he's like, dude, I don't know if you should use these, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm going to beat them up. I'm basically treating them like I would a shoe. I think some shoes look better beat up. I think these golf clubs look really good beat up, especially now that I'm actually using them.
A little more character to it.
The more I use them, the more I do want to retire them early just for the artistic reason. But it's the same thing like with my photography. I hate when people pay me. Like if I'm taking pictures of Minneapolis or something like that, I want to take the picture first. And then if you want to buy it, you can. Because I get in the same mindset where it's like, oh man, if they don't like this, they're stuck with it. Yeah. And I'm going to feel bad. And then
kind of set your expectations. Just don't really know.
Right.
Every person's got a different expectation of like what they think or what, you see it in the picture. Could 9 times out of 10, it probably looks way better in person. But again, it's that not knowing how they're going to respond to it once you ship it off.
For sure. And I think that's the stress of being in this field and in any field where you're actually creating something for somebody else. Because you could look at that. There's been times where I've looked at the custom and I was like, I hate these, just because I felt like I could have done a better job. And so I got to the point where I couldn't keep redoing something because I would just have the shoe for like 6-7 weeks. And I told them, 5 to 6 weeks. And I'm like, I've got to get these out. And I send them out and they're like, dude, I love these. Like, these are the sickest pair I've ever seen. And it's hard to get over that being a perfectionist, because from my eye, I can see the little splatter of paint that has to be, wiped off, and you could still see it under a microscope, but not really if you're not looking at it. And so that becomes where you just have to trust that you're putting out a good product. And no, you guys have been instrumental. There's not been another account or anybody else that's helped LeaderBoard Customs more than you guys have. And I owe you guys a debt of gratitude because of that. So it's awesome that you guys stepped in. We're like, hey, let's do this, and posting it with the amount of followers you have. It's just been ridiculous. The outpouring of support that I got from you guys. So I can't thank you guys enough.
Absolutely. No, I said it's your work, it speaks volumes and speaks for itself. Like I said, I'm just happy to be able to, I said, it makes me feel good knowing that I did something to help this guy, try to take to the next level. We kind of talked about this once before. And if you want to kind of just, keep kind of talking about the background, but because you don't really do this isn't your full-time job, correct?
Right. So I am in a sales role for a cellular company.
Okay.
And I do business to business sales. Sure. And so that probably has me working 40 to 50 hours a week. And then aside from being a father and a husband, this is definitely a small side gig. And I probably had maybe one time last summer where I was like, let me do the math and see what I'd have to do and how many pairs I'd have to produce to make this a full-time gig. And it was something ridiculous, like 400 pairs a year. And my wife just looked at me and was like, no, you're going to keep your full-time job and do this on the side.
Well, that was kind of leading up to my next question to see how so I've been married for 2 years now and absolutely love it. But again, you got work, full-time position, family, you have a child. We have a little dog here, but not a child. But it's still a lot of work. And then you're doing that on the side. I'd imagine it kind of is, it's kind of got to be a wild balance, back and forth. So that's what I was kind of curious on. How many hours do you think you normally put into a custom pair of shoes? I guess it all probably depends on the shoe and what they're asking for, but I guess right. Average is that.
So I've got it down to a science where if someone reaches out to me, they'll say, hey, I'm looking to do a custom. And so my pricing is sort of like getting a tattoo, right? So I've got to figure out what design do you want? What shoe is it on? Because of course, if you're working with like the Roshi, it's super simple to prep. If you're working with like a TW13, there's a different way to prep the shoes.
Sure. And
so I take into account how long it's going to take me to prep the shoes, to paint, to let dry time in between coats, if there's a special finisher they're asking for. So on an average, given any given custom, probably about 10 to 20 hours. Okay. And then if you're looking at like a custom logo or like really intricate details, you could be looking at 30 hours. And so the balance is when you have someone that sees your work and is like, man, those are awesome. Like, can I get a pair? and you tell them what your cost is, and I'm not even pricing them too high because I want to, keep where people, I understand like the value of the shoe. And so if you're working on a $110 shoe and you're asking for $400, it's, people are like, no, I can't do that. But I take into account a per price per hour of what I would pay myself. And then the difficulty of doing the design. And that's where I kind of get my pricing from. So like I said, it's sort of like a tattoo where, the more details and the more colors, the more like wild the design, it's going to increase the price. And then the more detailed, the more prep that is needed, it again kind of drives up the price. But I really try to be as fair as I can when it comes to pricing. And I'll turn down people just because of the fact that I have probably 3 or 4 people in the past month from like Europe, Asia, some like countries that are way out there. And I'll tell them
that's awesome.
Not worth it.
I mean, it's very cool that you get people all around the world doing your work, right? And you're from Oklahoma, right?
Right.
So you got that's a pretty,
Missouri.
Not Missouri.
Not Missouri.
I was thinking it was Missouri because we had that conversation about trying to arrange a future golf trip. And when you said it was a few hours from Branson,
right.
I just kind of was putting 2 together.
Let me make this clear. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
From Columbus, Ohio.
From Columbus, Ohio, and I live in Oklahoma. So I'm still a Buckeye through and through. So not a Sooner, but sorry to all my Sooner fans out there. But
okay, so but I like that comparison. Let's say with the like tattooing. I do have some tattoos myself, and it is one thing too. You really are tattoos. Obviously, it's on your skin, so it's a little different. But I see the comparison because, like for me, I would rather pay more for a quality piece of work, right? If I'm going to put it on my body, I'm not trying to be like, I'll just pay $50 and get this ink done real quick. You know what I mean? So
right.
I like how you're, like you said, you're trying to be fair, and if it's depending, if it's going to be way out of the ballpark, it might not be worth it for that person, or it might, it just depends. So I really do like that comparison. Have you had any like really crazy, weird requests of like something that you're like, no, I just can't do it? Or do you like when somebody asks for something like kind of makes it interesting or tough for you to like do?
So I got a few customs that I were like, I don't know how to do it. Truthfully, I'm not very artistic. Like if you had me try to draw something, it wouldn't look very good. I could do like a pretty decent stick figure, but just being a sneakerhead, I kind of know what looks good.
I got like one arm longer than the other.
Right. So that's me. I mean, but I've always been creative, and I've always had like an artistic mind, and I've always wanted to be like set myself away from just be like an individual, and like, again, the shoes, just writing on them with a marker or putting a little, something on there to make it different than what everybody else had. And so there's been times where I'm like, I can't do this one. This is one that's out of my league. I can't do it. But I've told myself, I'm just going to say yes and just do it. And if the shoe looks terrible, if the custom looks terrible, I just refund them their money and, just go on about my day, and know that if someone else in the future asks me to do that, I just won't do it. But in doing that, it's really let me grow as an artist, because those are now stuff that I can do, where I thought I was like, there's no way I could do this one. And I pulled it off, and the customer loved it. So I was like, all right, that's one more thing. It's almost like being a chef. It's like, I can't cook this meal, but once you learn how to do it and you can do a little bit more and a little bit more, you become really good at it. And that just becomes a part of your arsenal. And so my goal is to put out really great, durable customs at a good price for people to enjoy. And so that was probably the last year is the most stressful nights, where I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking, I hope this shoe just doesn't like crumble and, in the middle of the round, or the paint just started chipping off. Because if I was the person buying the customer or paying good money for it, I'd want it to be as durable as can be. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I've taught myself, with the help of some really good people, is to how to make them as durable as possible and last as long as possible.
And you had a couple questions about.
I did. Yeah. It's been one of those like weeks where it's just been like nonstop.
Put them on the spot. Cut them off.
Like I'm in management, and sometimes my staff do things, and I'm just like, you gotta stop. Like, it throws off my whole week. I'm like, you gotta chill.
Well, he's looking that up. Did you ever have you purchased customs from anyone else before? Like to kind of like like see like their work? Is that something that you've ever tried to do, or?
I was going to do that, and I'm not going to name their names because I don't want to put anybody on blast, but I asked them for what it would cost, and I was going to supply the shoe, and they told me the price. I was like, hey man,
Kind of blown away.
Your work is awesome. Yeah. And I was like, I can't pay that price. And I was up front with them. I was like, this is what I'm looking to do. And so that really, probably the past couple of months, I've been price shopping other customer or other customizers, not in a sneaky way, just asking them like, hey, what would you price this at? Because I feel like I'm either in some of the areas, I'm a little bit too low on my pricing, and not to sound like very, bragging about it, but it just feels like the amount of work that I'm doing, I've had to turn away a lot of orders because people just want like simple stuff done. And in my opinion, it's not worth to do. Like one guy asked me, was like, hey, can you just change the color of the swooshes? And I was like, I can, but you're not going to like my price because it doesn't make sense for you to do it. And I even told the guy, I was like, I'll show you how to do it. Like, if you want to do it yourself, I'll kind of lead you that way. But that it just becomes when you're looking at pricing and just doing like simple jobs, I'm starting to look to do more one-of-one customs where it's basically I'm going to do it once and maybe not that same design again. And so that's kind of where I'm leading in the future of where I want to be at.
I was doing that when I was like looking for, because like I want to get a wedge done, and that's kind of how I stumbled across House of Golf. And that was before they were even House of Golf. They've really blown up now, and I am not taking any part in their success. That is all them. They absolutely kill it. There are people that was like, man, like I'm sending you the club, I'll pay for shipping, whatever. Like I'll even box it up, like whatever. And there was still just like ridiculous for a single club, and all I wanted to do was do some stamping, paint fill, and like change the color. So they gave me a really good deal, and that's why I keep going back to them. And I looked at your website just to kind of see what the price was. I think it's really reasonable. Like everything you do, and obviously seeing your work on Instagram and everything, I think for the product you're putting out, it's very competitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something to say about struggling with your prices and stuff like that. You don't ever want to charge too little, but you can't charge too much. I picture them kind of having like 4 burner accounts. Like, hey, what do you guys want to,
Right.
But no, I think it says something about you wanting to keep your prices down and still wanting to like help the average person do something different. And
I like that as well. That's like the one of one. I think people kind of like knowing that they have. I mean, this guy created this shoe, and it's only on my feet.
Yeah, and like the swoosh thing. Like I think if people understood how easy it was just to change the color of a swoosh, but then you got to factor in your time, your material,
shipping.
Yeah, it's like you can just buy that paint, and then if it's a leather, you can leather deglaze it, stuff like that. I know a little bit about shoe customization, just like a little bit, but
the enough fact to get in trouble.
Yeah, enough to where I'm like, oh, I could.
But the fact that that's why I really appreciate you and like everything you do, because again, you're kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing. Like you're not just kind of blowing them off like, nope, sorry, I'm not going to do it. See you later. I mean, that person still might go down and order a pair of shoes from you down the line, right? But he was just looking for something simple where you're still giving him that option of like, I can walk you through the steps of how to do it, rather than just being too busy and just kind of like, and you already are busy the way that it is. So that speaks volumes on your customer service, which again, I think you're the best in the business. I know you don't have a huge following. I mean, you've definitely grown quite a bit. Obviously, you were at like 200 followers. I
was less than 200 when we first did that, and then I grew to like 1,500 in two weeks.
Yep.
And I'm at like 1,630 or 1,640 or something like that. But quite honestly, I've had companies reach out to me. It's like, hey, we want to market for you, and we want to grow your account. I'm like, no, because A, I want it to happen organically, and 2, I don't have enough time for everybody. So it's like, I say it this way is I want to make a living, not a killing. Mm-hmm. And so if I get people who are reaching out to me and they're like, hey, I've seen your work and I love it, and this is what I want done. I'm thinking, okay, like how long is it going to take to get this done? What's my timeline look like? How long am I going to be away from my family? And I factor that into it. And I will say, over the past year, my prices have risen because my product has gotten better. And I foresee the prices rising because I do want to be competitive in the marketplace. But I'll say this. My prices on most customs are 2 to 3 times lower than what other big name artists are out there. And so I want to stay in that probably 50% range of what they're charging, not to take business away from them or undercut them, but I know they're super swamped. Yep. And so if maybe a customer reaches out to them and say, hey, I want to work with you and do this, and they're like, sorry, I don't have time. Then if they find my work, they'll hit me up and say, hey, this is what this is what I want to do. Can you do it? But that's kind of the market I'm going after, is those guys who just want to be, whether they want to be fancy on the golf course or just stand out on the golf course and have a pretty sick custom. That's what I'm here for.
So my dad, he owns his own auto body company, and it kind of reminds me a little bit like you said, like he's a perfectionist. And I've seen him sometimes spend like 8 hours on just trying to get the door fitted after he just painted it. And it's kind of that same, that's what it reminded me of, because I think we had talked about this a while back, that like you could probably literally go full time if you had like the same if you could clone yourself, right? Right. And it's kind of like how, my dad's the same way. Like he just always wanted to do everything himself, and he'd take on these projects. And by that time, it's like he put out really good work, but your time of doing it, most auto body shops have 3, 4, 5 guys. They're prepping, painting, sanding, and he's doing everything. So it's kind of reminded me of that when you're talking about, because you can see the details, but to the common eye, they're not really going to notice it, right? So right. I kind of said, I think that's that perfectionist in the artist. Everyone's their own artist in their own way, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of how my dad is, because sometimes I would be like, you gotta be kidding me. I've seen you put this door in and take it out like 20 times. I'm like, right. But that's just the, way it is. And it's like, it looks totally fine for me. So,
right. No, I don't put the finisher on until I went out in the sunlight and looked at them like 15, 20 times, because I'm always afraid. And I say this, there was someone who posted a picture the other day, and they had a stencil and they spelled it wrong. And I was like, I commented on it, not to be like an a-hole, but really just like, hey, when I cut a stencil, I make sure I read it 3 or 4 times, because that's the worst thing, is you're done and you look at it and you're like, man, this is so sick. And then you spell the word wrong. And then you got to start over from scratch. But yeah, like you said, just being a perfectionist, at some point you just have to be like, okay, this is good work. And this is exactly what I would expect if I was paying for it. And move on. Now, I will say this, my customs, I try to be as perfect as possible, but these are hand painted. And so you're going to have a little bit of paint here and there. And I'll do it with other customizers. Like if they post something, I'll like take a screenshot and look at the pictures. I'm like, these are killer lines. Or I'm like, they missed a spot right there. And not to be a critic, but just to kind of like teach myself and become a better customizer myself.
For sure.
I found the question.
Oh, you found the question?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So I have a couple. So I know you customize a lot of shoes, whether it's like the Jordan golf shoes, the Nike golf shoes. You do a lot of Roshis, which I think, like you said, they're easy to do and they're pretty affordable for most people. Do you have a favorite shoe to customize? Not a favorite one you've done, but just like one that you get in and you're like, yeah, I'm going to kill it on these, whether it's the 4, the Jordan 3 golf shoes, like whatever it is.
I would say my favorite, just because they're the ones I've worked on the most, are the Roshis. And at one point I had someone reach out to me, was like, hey, do you do any customizations other than the Roshis? I'm like, yeah, I do. But these are just the ones that everyone asked me for. And so I could probably prep them in my sleep. I mean, that's just how many pairs I've done. But those will probably be my favorites, because I've done so many of them, and I've got so many that I could just call my favorite, like customs I've done. Mm-hmm. And usually they're on that model, that silhouette.
Sure. Yeah, that Stars and Stripe one, it's crazy. Like that gold swoosh. I
love the gold swoosh. Didn't somebody actually you kind of ask kind of people to see like what their choice? I love
it's ridiculous. I was just like, I need a pair. Like they're so good.
Yeah, shout out to DeJesus Customs, because I was going through all his videos and I saw that and I was like, those were when those were super popular. And then obviously he did a non-golf shoe, and I had a pair of grays just laying around. I was like, I've got to do it. And they came out sick. So shout out to him.
That's awesome. I got to give him I said, I don't know if I follow. He's on Instagram?
He is. DeJesus Custom Footwear.
Okay, I'll have to check that. I might listen. I thought we talked about him a while back, so I might be following.
I do the same thing like with my photography stuff. It's like there's certain photographers I follow that I'm just like, man, if I could do like half of that, I'd be good. So it's like I'll take a picture and then I'll compare it to kind of what they do. It's like Peter McKinnon, phenomenal. Everything he does is borderline just spectacular, in my opinion, whether it's the Hyundai ad, whatever. And then there's a guy out in San Francisco I follow on Instagram, and I blank on his name, but some of the nighttime stuff he does is just ridiculous. Yeah. And perfection, like you can't ever be perfect in anything you do, but they're pretty damn close.
Great.
Yeah. Like there have been weeks where I've just spent editing like one picture, and I couldn't tell you what my favorite picture was. I don't think I could tell what my favorite shoe was either. But I don't know. Those Stars and Stripes were great. The gold swoosh, I think, was probably the best call.
It's always like that one little detail too that really just like makes something pop, right? And that's kind of most of the shoes.
Even editing this, it's just like there are moments where I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense. Like there's a weird cut. So I like to make this as organic as I can. My other question was, who would you want to make a pair for? Like if you can make one for anybody, like Mark Wahlberg is a big Jordan guy who plays golf. You know, even like Shaq would be cool. Charles Barkley. You know, anybody come to mind? Yeah.
So I would say the top one obviously would be Tiger. There's absolutely, he's not flashy, right? So to see him in a pair of Customs would be crazy. To see him in a pair of LeaderBoard Customs would just be ridiculous.
I'll shoot him a text and see if he wants to. I'm just kidding.
Well, my goal is, so I volunteered for I heard on the last episode you're volunteering for when the tournaments are coming up. I volunteered for the senior PGA here at Southern Hills in Tulsa.
Okay.
And one of the perks is you get first dibs to volunteer for next year at the PGA at Southern Hills.
Very cool.
And so fingers crossed that Tiger's healthy, obviously for himself and his family. But if he comes back for the Masters, and maybe the Masters are too soon, maybe the PGA would be the next one he would come to. As a volunteer, I'm going to try to get a pair autographed. I've got those blue ones that I was thinking about, but I may just do like a crazy TW20 custom and see if he can autograph them. But yeah, so Tiger would be number one for sure. Mark Wahlberg is another guy that would be like a huge celebrity that would be awesome to do a custom pair for. And gosh, there's so many out there that I would just love to work with. A lot of them have worked with Nomad Customs. He does a lot of the PGA's pros, and so it's like
use Mosh.
Mosh.
Diggs uses Mosh all the time, stuff like that.
Yeah, they do. So no, it'd be cool to have someone on the PGA tour that would do it, and even too, I think it'd be killer to have an LPGA player rock some customs. I think that'd be sick, because
I think Michelle Wee would be super fun. Like her style is super fun. Obviously, she's with Nike, and just her presence on the course. It's like she has like a grace to her, but then it's also like she's got like some sparkly blazers on, and like I think that'd be a super fun collab.
I like the LP. I like that idea.
The LPGA,
get the quarters maybe.
For sure. Yeah, and any athlete would be awesome. Whether it be PGA player, LPGA, or even like an NFL player. The My Cause, My Cleat is a super sick charity thing that they have going on, and gosh, it would be really cool to have a pro athlete wear your customs. I think that's probably the end goal, to work with maybe a celebrity or pro athlete, not for anything more than just to know that you're that's the highest level of a professional sport, and to have someone wearing a custom by you would be pretty sick.
That was kind of me. I was going to kind of piggyback off that question, see if you've had any celebrities or players, or have you? Because I think your quality of work definitely is there, but it's just again a matter of maybe connecting with some of these players. Is that something that you kind of foresee down the future, that you kind of try to do something like that? Especially like I know they do. You said like Nomad, they do a lot of the like maybe some for like a charity or something like that, where you can kind of partner up. I know he did some with Ricky, and I think that would be awesome. I think if Tiger does come back and play, we're gonna definitely try to push it on our Instagram too, see if we can get those signed for you. that would be sick. No, to have him in a custom shoe, that would just be crazy.
But no, actually, funny story. I had a guy reach out to me, and I've made it a habit of doing this. Like if someone reaches out to me for a custom, I don't look at their profile because I don't want to get an assumption of who they are, or maybe like what kind of influence they have. So a guy reached out to me about a year ago and was like, "Hey man, I love your work. Do you mind doing this for me?" And I went through all the way the process. He ordered 2 pairs of customs. I didn't even he paid, everything's good. Like I'm customizing them. And I was like, I wonder who this guy is. So I looked up his page, and he's actually an ex-baseball player, major leaguer.
Very
and it was just pretty cool that it was like, man, this is pretty awesome. But I did that because I don't want to have a mindset of like, hey, this guy's a pro, he can pay more. You know what I mean? So like, I don't want to have that type of attitude. And so a lot of the times I won't even check out their profile to kind of see like if this is a celebrity, or maybe like this is a pro ball player.
Looking for the blue check mark.
Right.
That's I like that approach. That I never really thought of it that way. That's kind of a cool.
It's a cool way to do things.
Yeah,
you don't let it go to your head. You don't assume anything, because obviously, like an ex-baseball player, you're like, something with baseball. The baseball laces, kind of like what Reebok and Iverson did. It was like a weird shoe, but they had a question with baseball laces. I don't get it, but I wanted them because it's baseball. But
right.
I think not letting it go to your head is probably a good call.
Yeah, I like that.
Especially if it's like a big name, ex-major leaguer, unless it was like somebody like Clint Frazier, and you're just like, like minor leaguer.
But it's pretty cool though. Like I said, I get like random, popular people like that'll comment on my posts. Granted, most of the stuff that I post isn't necessarily mine. I'll throw an occasional meme that I'll make, but for the most part, again, we try to make sure we give the right, proper.
We try to
credit,
take,
exactly. But it's still pretty cool that you get some of these random people that you've never even heard of or seen before, and they're, they got 1 million followers or 600,000 followers, and wow, they scrolled through my page, and you know what I mean. So it's pretty cool.
Well, honestly, if I remember correctly, when you shot me I think you shot me a DM that was like, "Hey, I'm interested in doing this." I really didn't even look at your guys' page until we were already in the talks of like, "Hey, where do I ship these to?" And I was like, oh man, these guys have I think it was like 80,000 followers at the time, or maybe 70,000. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is like, how did this page find me? So,
yeah, that's awesome. So I originally created Safe Par Golf. Dom here is kind of the mastermind behind Safe Par Golf podcast. We met at college in school, so we kind of just hit it off, and
we both suck at math.
Yeah, suck at math, and that's how we met. And I was telling him that I like to golf, and I have this page, and he liked to golf, and we kind of just kind of hit it off. And I was like, well, I've been, created this page. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, and it was either the week before the Masters or the week after the Masters. And I was like, okay, basketball was my all-time favorite sport, right? I know you're a big basketball guy. But then golf, I kind of picked it up later, and like when I was 19, 20. So I didn't play it when I was younger. And I was like, I love the game of golf. And I've told this story before, but my cousin was the one that kind of got me hooked on the Instagram. He started a Duck Dynasty fan page.
Wow.
Believe it or not, right? So my uncle and I are huge sports guys. My cousin's not the biggest sports fan, but he would always be there, and he was super talented. I mean, kid was in high school, created this Instagram platform, and I'm like, that's impressive. And I'm thinking, kind of a light bulb went off, like, and then all of a sudden he had a GoPro page, and he's getting all this stuff, and he's doing a really good job marketing. I mean, kids in high school, and I was like, that is very cool. This is such a great tool. And I was like, let me start a golf one. And that's kind of how it kind of started, and continue to grow from there. And it's a side hustle. I don't want to say it's a side hustle, because it's not really a hustle, but it is a side gig. It's just something like a hobby of mine. And it continued to grow. And I was like, podcasts are so popular now.
Yeah, about a year ago, we were playing golf, and he's like, "Hey, what if we did this?" And I was like, he goes, "Well, I have the following, and you're opinionated and like to talk." I was like, duh, like, let's do it. And then it kind of took us a while, we kind of hemmed and hawed, and then we finally were like, "Hey, let's make the Instagram page. Let's make sure nobody steals it. Like, blah blah blah." Made the logo. Thanks to one of my staff, he did a great job.
And then can't forget Emma M Squared Design too. He's the one that created my Safe Par Golf logo. So he helped me out with that.
Is he the one that does all the mock-ups?
Yeah, super talented guy.
His stuff is legit.
I've talked to him in the past. We've done some like custom, like Tiger Woods off white before you even doing it. I had him mock me up there just like as a picture, and it was super cool. And then as it's like, hey, let's do this. We're like, cool, we got the microphone, and the rest is kind of history at this point. Yeah,
it's a learning process, and there's a lot of podcasts out there. I listen to a lot of podcasts, like wide range of podcasts, and it's just kind of fun to be behind the mic and just kind of talk about golf and all,
Yeah, there have been so many people on my end, because I do all the social media stuff too, unless he gets mad at me and tells me what to post.
I'm the Safe Par Golf podcast.
There have been so many people along the way that are like, hey, if you ever like transition to like YouTube or stuff, like we'll help you out. We've got all this gear and stuff like that. And they've always been super helpful. And, obviously like it means so much to us just having all that happen. But it's been super fun kind of meeting everybody, and
it's a big commitment. It's a lot. It's not a huge commitment, but again, if you want to try to like for example, on the Safe Par Golf, there's a lot of time and energy. You get stuff and it's cool and all, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of work and time consuming, right? And it's not necessarily hard work, but it takes time, and getting 90,000 followers, I did it organically. I didn't, buy any followers or anything like that. So it's pretty awesome to know that I've helped grow Safe Par Golf. Yet, working in the community of golf community is so awesome, and helping other people grow. And that's why I said, when I talked to Don, I was like, we got to have LeaderBoard on. He's like one of my favorite dudes. And
it's more good content. It's more about building relationship versus getting like free stuff. It's like, that stuff's cool, and it's like an icebreaker for a lot of things. It's like I'll send out stickers and stuff like that. It's like I don't really care if I get anything free or if I get paid or anything. It's more about building relationships with people in the golf community, whether it's on Instagram and real life, just because you never know where those connections take you.
Yep.
Like maybe one day we'll do a Safe Par Golf shoe or a Safe Par Golf podcast shoe or like a collab. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know.
We've kind of talked about that a little bit of maybe doing like a logo type of deal on.
Well, I wear an 11.
He's an 11. Yeah.
I wear an 11. Derek is not an 11.
No, 9.5, depending on the shoe.
I wear an 11. So it's like stuff like that would be super cool one day, but it's more about the relationships at the end of the day, versus like, oh, what can they do for me? I hate that mentality. I've met people where it's like, oh, I'm only here because you can give me X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give you X, Y, and Z because you haven't earned A, B, or C.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
That was good. Did you write that down?
Put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, write this down.
I should use that for my staff.
No, that's you guys have been a huge help, and the Safe Par Golf has been an absolutely stellar in getting LeaderBoard Customs off the ground. And so I take that attitude of like, how can I help somebody else? And I only have 1,600 followers, but if someone reached out to me, and there's been several times that someone will say, hey man, I'm having issues with this. Like, how do you get this to look so good? Or how do you do this? And I'll take the time to like send them a video of like how I do it, or maybe send them like instructions, step-by-step instructions, because this stuff, it was people like you have helped build this and grow this Instagram account of mine, and LeaderBoard Customs have grown because of that, just because of generosity. Mm-hmm. And so my thought is, I've reaped those benefits, so let me help, those who are coming up as well, and those who may have questions or may want some promotion from me or whatever the case may be. I try to be as generous as I can be. So again, I said it before, and I even said on before we started this, the podcast is awesome because you're just two guys who like to talk about golf and stuff surrounding golf. Yep. And I think all of us can attest to times that we maybe went out on the golf course and got paired up with, other people, and just sometimes you build long lasting, friendships out of that. And I think that's what's cool about golf is, what other sport or what other activity do you go and spend 4 hours with a random stranger and get a chance to know people? So
I got paired up with a dentist once.
Yeah, I got paired with a couple of different doctors, and that's the other thing too. It's like, I don't like, oh, guess what? Hey, did you know that I'm a Safe Par? I don't go and do that. But if they start talking, I'm like, yeah, have you ever heard of it? The next thing you know, now like I just got a new follower and a new person to like play golf with if I want. So it's the relationships. It's awesome. It's not, I'm not here to brag about 80, 90,000 followers. It's more of meeting and talking to new people that have the same interests, And
Well, and that goes both ways. Like on our end, we've had, OB Golf Club's been super nice to us.
That's been awesome.
He's like, Shane actually sent me a video about how he grips a golf club. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I should try that. And now every time I pick up my golf club, I just automatically overlap. And it's the most bizarre thing I've ever had to deal with.
He didn't grip at all. See,
I'm a former baseball player, so it's like, I hold like
right. So you got that
baseball
grip. Yeah.
Grip and rip. Hell yeah, let's go. So he's like, yeah, you should overlap. And he physically like took a video and sent it to me. And it's like the nicest thing I've ever had somebody like reach out on the internet and do.
But it's just a little thing like that probably took 5-10 minutes to just record.
Yeah. Well, not even. It was like a 30-second video. And he's like, yeah, you just go like this. And then you just go like that. And then you waggle that.
Waggle. Yeah. It's been all over.
But it's like, it's all about like repercussions and reciprocating.
And that's why I think you have done such a good job too. Like you said, you take the time to. I have reached out to certain, not necessarily like custom shoe creators or anything like that, but just anything in general. And there's plenty of times where I try to respond to everybody. There's obviously times that I don't, but I certainly try to respond to everyone. Obviously, you get a lot of spam and all that pops up like crazy, especially the promote crap. I mean, I don't know what is up with that.
That's been ridiculous the last couple of weeks.
It's like
you post something and it's every post is.
I've started just delete it, especially like with the giveaway we have going on. I'm like, I don't want to put them in there. It's like,
yeah, that's just a spam thing, and I try to block them, but it's like there's so many of them. But so we're doing this giveaway. We'll post it again on both of our pages, probably a few times. We'll do it on our story. But we're going to we've done this on the first couple episodes. We've done a rapid question series. So Luke, we're going to ask you probably about 10 or 11 questions, maybe 12. Our math's not the best, so it'll be something.
Yeah, it's that community college level math.
Yeah. So start off with a real simple one. Do you prefer walking or riding?
Oh, you got to ride.
Ride, okay.
Ride or die.
Oklahoma summers, 100-degree heat. Now you got to ride.
Because you got a lot of humidity down there, right?
Oh, it's very bad. The problem with the humidity is like with me, I can't grip the club. My hands get so sweaty that it's hard to be able to grip the golf club. So yeah, summers in Oklahoma are never fun.
That's why we use those like super.
I like the tacky, the tacky golf club.
Okay, so I remembered the name of the brand. I use those Pure Grips. Those are without my wedges.
Oh, Pure, okay.
Yeah, it's like honestly like touching tar.
Yeah, I use the golf by the tacky ones. Yeah. I like those tacky
ones. It's like an MLB. They're all using like spider tack, whatever. It's like that.
Dom's got pine tar on his.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
I have a buddy of mine who says, just throw some dirt on it. And I'm like, I don't want my grips to get dirty.
Tommy, 2 gloves.
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
I might start doing that.
Well, this might answer the question that I kind of from the first one, but early morning golf or twilight golf?
Or early morning. Okay. I've got a group of 3 or 4 guys that we go out probably 7:30, 7:45 on Saturdays.
Okay.
To beat the heat.
Attaboy. So you normally go, I'm early morning. I like to be that second tee time. And I'd like to be on the course all day, but at the same, like if we're playing quick and I'm going to wait, but there's something about getting up at 5:30 in the morning and just getting out there with it's the best. But do you go plastic tees or wooden tees?
Plastic.
Okay.
I switched to about 8 months ago. Plastic, pink, and they're pink. They got to be the pink plastic tees.
Yeah. See, I like the plastic tees too. I mean, I'll hit wooden tees too, but I prefer the plastic.
I hate the plastic ones.
If you have someone who has a pink tee hit it past you, then that's just that.
There you go. I like that. Okay, you might have done this before several times. I have no idea what you sound like you try to play competitive golf. So, but would you rather hit a hole-in-one or would you rather make par or better on a full round? And if you've done that, amen.
So I've got 2 hole-in-ones.
Oh, look at you showing off.
And so I would go, and my best round is 73.
Okay.
And so I'm still chasing par. Yeah. I'm still chasing par.
I've come to realize that every guest we have on here is leaps and bounds better than me.
Yeah, and I'm about a 10.6 handicap, and again, I have days where I'm
not even close to 10.
But that's okay. Good. Thing is with me and him, like he's really, really coachable though. I use this club and
I mean, you've seen me pipe some.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. No, it's just the consistency. That's all, which is like everyone else. right?
Rip,
Well, if you're not playing a lot, then it's hard to have consistency. Technically, I'm an 8.3, but I've been playing probably to about a 10 or 11 the last couple of weeks. So
I'm playing.
Don't let that number fool you.
I'm playing about 12, 13 right now. So I probably shot my worst run. I shot a 93 last weekend, and I haven't played since. And I'm literally like, I wanted to play the same day, like right after, because I was so disgusted with my
to get that score off your mind.
Yeah, I had an 8 on a par 3. Yeah, I said it out loud, and I'm disgusted. That took a snowman. Okay, so you're definitely gonna go with making a par and round. Shorts or pants?
Shorts every single time,
especially in Oklahoma. I
think you answered this question earlier, but who's your favorite PGA golfer of all time? Could be playing. Couldn't be in the past, whenever.
Absolutely, number one, Tiger, and then right behind him would be Jack. Being an Ohio boy, Jack's not to be a front runner because you got Tiger and Jack, the two best all times, but
sure.
those are my two favorites.
Okay, I like that. I like that answer. Hoodie or no hoodie? Not necessarily you wearing it, but do you like the hoodie game, or do you have a? Is that really an issue for you? Do you mind the hoodie?
No. I think the anything to draw in more people to golf, I'm down for. So throw the hoodie on, shoot some good scores, have some fun.
I like it.
I thought it was super dumb. It's like, let Rory wear the hoodie.
Oh yeah,
just let him wear it.
Right. Yeah, just have at it. Yeah.
What's your favorite club in your bag? Like if there's like a go-to club that, if it's your driver, iron, or what's probably the hottest club in your bag?
So I've got a 3 hybrid. That's a 19 degree. That's a rocket ball, the old TaylorMade RBZ that I've had for 12 years. No. Oh, close to 12 because it came out in 2012. Ever since then, every single year I try to get it kicked out of the bag with the new technology, and nothing comes close to it.
See, that's one thing I need to invest in is my driver. I hit my Cobra driver, and for the most part, I'm not a long ball hitter by any means, but I can pretty much keep it in the fairway for the most part. But I really want to get that 3-wood dialed in, and that's something that I'm looking for this summer. Is definitely going to work on that.
Yeah. I'm one of the weirdos who uses a 5-wood because I like the lofts. I don't hit my balls very high. I'm very low to the ground, which is like good and bad, I guess.
Especially if there's wind, I guess, right? Depending on the wind.
Yeah, depends on the day, but yeah, I'm one of those weirdos who uses a 5-wood.
I don't think it's necessarily that weird. 5-wood.
Well, I feel like a lot of people go driver, 3-wood, and then like if they have a hybrid, because I have a hybrid too. Because my favorite club was a 4-iron, and then I broke it.
Out of rage.
Yeah, no, not in a fit of rage. I thought I was hitting it off the ground, and it was a rock, and I hit the rock, and long story. So now I have like a 4 hybrid. So I think mine's 21 or 22 degrees. It's the Cobra. And
you hit it pretty good though.
Every year I'm like, I'll get something else, but then they have those rails on it, and I'm the same way with like the technology. I'm like, I love the rails. Like it's so dumb, but Cobra does a good job.
Well, I've got the F9 3-wood.
My driver's
got those rails.
My driver's the F8 Plus.
Yeah.
So mine doesn't have the rails, but yeah, that started, and we were talking about it last week that Bryson had some like prototype clubs from Cobra, and one of the prototypes had the bars and the rails on it. So I don't know if Bryson kind of brought that idea to Cobra.
Yeah, I'm not
sure. It works. It's on like 95% of their clubs.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, it's not like a driver or you know what I mean, but it's like a hybrid. Have them. Their drivers might. I don't know.
I think the one I have the speeds.
Maybe they don't, but
it's kind of like design. Like they kind of have like was it the Lamborghini, or they have kind of like fashion behind the car.
The Woods have them, and it works. Right. I mean, they're really nice.
Don't those rails supposed to help for like the hybrids and 3-woods supposed to help with like getting you off the ground?
Yeah.
So that ball in the air.
Yeah, so it helps go through the taller grass and stuff a little bit easier because you're not chunking it as much. So that's what I've noticed. I don't hit my hybrid as bad as some of my other clubs because I can't take a big divot, which I don't like doing anyways. I like to kind of grab the ball and lift it. It's always been my game. I don't know. It's weird. I've never been one of those guys who takes a big divot. It bothers me.
No pancakes?
I take the biggest divots ever.
Yeah, I'm kind of
groundskeepers hate me.
Yeah, I'm kind of a pancake guy myself. Okay, what's your favorite golf course? So kind of piggyback this favorite golf course you've played and favorite course that you would like to play that you haven't played.
So my favorite golf course is the Patriot out here in Oklahoma. It's a awesome setup. They're the Folds of Honor is the organization behind it.
That's awesome.
And so they give scholarships and money to families of fallen men and women in the armed services. And then they built a course in just a suburb here of Tulsa, probably 10 years ago. And it's a phenomenal layout, super, super awesome. And at noon every day, everyone stops playing and they ring the bell 13 times for all the fallen soldiers and service members, men and women. So that's my favorite course I've ever played.
Is that a public or a private course?
Semi-private. You can get on as a public, but it's mainly private. So I guess you'd call it semi-private.
Okay, very cool. So what would be the one that you'd love to play? I mean, obviously Augusta is going to be probably, but if you were not, besides Augusta, what would be something that you'd love to play?
It would have to be Pebble. That would be the one that I would love to go play. And I think you guys talked about this last time.
Yeah.
Because Jack said if he could play one course and only one course for the rest of his life, that would be it. Yeah. I'm going to follow his lead.
I love that too, but I really would love to go to Scotland and go to the home of golf and go to St. Andrews. That would be something that I would love to do. Yeah,
that'd be just, I think you get a different vibe out there just because being at the home of golf and you're just like, where golf started.
Are you a big Open fan? So like there's something about the setting your alarm clock and I remember when Tiger was playing a few years ago and so that's like, and he would have like the really early tee time. You're like, oh my God, should I go to bed?
Right. Just stay up and watch it.
2:30 in the morning. It's like, get like 4 hours of sleep. But do you like the, I don't know. It's because it's once a year, depending on what area, where they're having it. But I like that.
I love the Open. And the cool thing now, obviously with Tiger not playing, if Tiger was playing, I would wake up exactly when he tees off and watch the entire round. But now being a father and being a parent or being a husband, I get limited time to watch the Open. So I just catch it when I can. But I think there's, it's just a different vibe. I think like with the Masters, you get a different feel. Mm-hmm. With the PGA, with the US Open, you get a different feel, but the Open is by far one of the best ones out there. So
yeah, I think obviously I love the US Open and the PGA Championship, but I would say the Masters and the Open are probably my two favorite majors, which again, because they're totally like different vibes, but I love it. Okay. This one, we might have already asked you earlier in the interview here, but what is your favorite shoe of all time? And it could be you could say golf shoe. I know you said kind of your favorite Jordans earlier, but what would be your favorite shoe of all time? If you want to go golf, since you didn't go golf last time,
I think because I when they first showed up, they weren't available, and it was one of those ones where it's like you had to have it, and you couldn't get them because they're just prototypes. Would be the 11 low golf shoes.
Do you have those right now?
I got the Concords, the cool grays, and then the white, all whites with the tan accents. Those are, but I've not wore them yet, and I probably won't.
Sure. I
just can't pull myself because they're just so clean. I can't wear them.
I'd have to
I'd probably be in the same boat with you.
There are some shoes I look at and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mess them up. And then I'm like, if it's a golf shoe, like I golfed in like Air Force Ones and I put spikes on the bottom and everyone's like, oh, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're screwed up now.
Has a little character to them. I like that.
No, it's like I have to wear them. Like if I spend that much money on a stupid golf shoe, I'm wearing it at least once or twice just to say I did it.
I'm just hoping I can get on Sneaker Pass and get a
good
W.
luck.
It's like, man, I swear it is insane.
I don't know which. I've got 2 hole-in-ones, and I think that's probably less significant than getting like high.
Let's put a statistic.
Heat on sneakers.
Right.
Yeah,
which is more common.
The last shoe I hit on with sneakers was legitimately the UNC 3s. And that was
I got those, and I was super happy to get those. But the ones that, and you said you got rid of those.
I did. I keep looking at buying another pair, but the prices right now are just.
When The Last Dance came out, all the shoes, all the Jordans just skyrocketed.
That's when I sold mine. I was like, I got to make a car payment. And
it was a good time to sell, though. You know, buy high, I guess. Technically, these are expensive, but sell even higher.
Yeah, when I was young, that's how I would get, because I wasn't making very good money. So what I would do is I'd buy 2 pairs of Jordans, and I would keep one to wear around and just have my own, and the other one I'd resell. And that's how I got
rock and stock.
Rock and stuff. That's
I sold 20 to 25 pairs of the first retros of most of the big OG colorways, and used that for a down payment on my first car. And I was super proud of myself that I did that. But as soon as I did it and I drove the car for about a week, I was like, I want all the shoes back.
Yeah,
so I worked on getting all the shoes back.
Yeah. Okay. Got 2 more questions for you.
Oh, we already did that.
We already did 11. Yep.
You stole my question.
I did. That's what I did.
Yeah, and okay, so I told him the questions, and then I texted him like, hey,
blanked out.
Don't steal these. And what did he do? He stole both of them.
He had 2 questions, and I took both, and I had no intention of doing it.
You could ask him again. Let's see if I come up with a different answer.
We joked about it earlier. He texted me. I was like, hey, we got to come up with some questions, and I got 2. Don't you steal them. I literally read them. And I was
That's awesome.
It's like, all those are good. And they just reworded them. It's like, don't steal. It's like, don't copy my homework. And then they just reword it.
I totally plagiarized, and I'm sorry. I did not do that on purpose. I promise. I was not trying to do that to me. So the last one would be, what is your favorite food of all time? If you could have one type of food.
Oh, man. Put me on the spot. I think it would have to be, I'd go with a filet and mashed potatoes.
Filet sounds good. I like the filet. Is there any specific place you want to call out at all that you would order from, or would it just be some grilled filet that you'd maybe make yourself?
See, I want to find some like really cool hole in the wall here in Oklahoma that has like really good steak. And there's a few places like that, but Fleming's is like a high end restaurant here in Tulsa that just by far has the best filet that I've ever had. So Fleming's all the way. They're a great restaurant.
That does sound good. Filet sounds really good. Okay, I guess I'll ask one more question here on this. Do you have a favorite for the Open this week?
I want Spieth to win. I don't know if he'll win, but that's my pick. Spieth or Rory, either one I'd be super thrilled with. But Rahm's playing so well.
He really is. He's playing lights out.
That could be I think that's an easy pick. But if I was a betting man, which I am, I would go Rahm. But as far as who I'd want to see win, I think I'd want to go Spieth. Okay, so we normally, obviously you listen to the podcast, but we normally do one that we really think is going to win. Then we do one that's kind of
like a dark horse sleeper.
So my sleeper, I believe, was somewhat of a sleeper, was Paul Casey. And then did I pick Rory?
I don't even remember what I picked.
Can you remember? That was last week. Well, did you pick Bubba's out now?
Yeah,
did you pick Bubba's for the sleeper?
Oh shit!
I don't know if you did or not. So do you have like a dark horse you think that maybe has a chance? They might sneak up the leaderboard. I know there's a bunch of people out right now. Unfortunately,
just because he's so good and he's so young that maybe he just is where he won't let the pressure get to him. But Hovland could be a great pick. I think he could do well. I
was thinking of Zalatoris for that reason. Like, he's so young and he's like on such a wave where it's like maybe it just won't phase him. That's kind of my worry with Spieth, is that Spieth hasn't won in a while, and he's, at a time he was like the man in golf.
He's getting it back, but he won.
But that's my fear, is that he'll kind of get the pressure and then he'll do well the first couple, and then he's gonna really falter. Like, that's kind of my fear. So I didn't pick Spieth in anything. As much as I want to see Spieth win.
Is awesome. I like Spieth.
I think I picked Fleetwood over Spieth.
I take that back. I picked Brooks. Brooks was my favorite, and I took Paul Casey as my.
That's right.
Brooks is he is always hanging around, and Brooks is just, obviously, we've had a discussion on Brooks and Bryson every podcast because they're such entertainment. But I think I'd go with Brooks. And
it's been a quiet week for those two.
Kind of, yeah.
And now imagine them two in the final group on Sunday. How awesome would that be?
PGA won't let it happen.
Well, it was past the Open, so it's technically.
Yeah, it's
not through PGA.
Oh, man.
Although, I don't know if he's one of the best videos that at 19th Society, that guy puts out some funny memes. Did you see me repost his Sandlot version of the Ryder Cup?
So I was in a meeting and I couldn't watch it, or I'd watch it, but I couldn't listen to it. And I reminded myself I got to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, he's got 2 parts. He's got the first one and he's got a second part. So you got to watch it. It's hilarious. But
If I could get paid to watch golf memes, I would be rich because I would just do it all the time.
I mean, like I said, sometimes I have some good ones that I come up with, but I mean, you have to be like, like coming up with it. These guys are like, it's so impressive how fast it's like something happens and it's like they already have 2 memes done. It's like, how do you got some fast thumbs? I mean, how did that even?
So
because last week we was watching the match and then you go on Instagram and like stuff that's already happened is already a meme. You're like, how are they that fast? How are they that good at it? So
I actually entered us into a pool for the Open. Because OB, they put one out. So I have John Rahm as like the tier 1 guy, which it's hard to really bet against him right now, just with how good he's been. And then I went Rory, Will Zalatoris, Tommy Fleetwood, because I like Fleetwood. I know you're a big Justin Rose guy, so I picked Justin Rose, even though I don't really like Justin Rose. And then Brandt Snedeker.
Fella, huh?
Yeah.
I haven't heard him in a long time.
He was the only name I recognized in the bottom tier, and I was like, I know who that is, and I picked him. I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
So I've heard you guys talk a lot about DraftKings. Do you have any players that you picked like in the past that you're like, this guy is going to be good for me, and he just like he gets these bombs, and you're like, I'm never going to pick him again.
That's why I don't.
And then
play
you end up picking him again though, because I swear it's like a magnet, and it's
right.
Say that because I do the same thing. Like, I feel like I think he's going to do good, and I'm going to realize I picked that guy the last 3 weeks, and he hasn't even made the cut. It's like going to like if you do like roulette or something, you pick the same number over and over, and as soon as you're like, you can't stop betting that number because you're afraid as soon as you stop, it's going to hit. That's the way it is with DraftKings. So my numbers on roulette, MJ 23.
Oh my god!
Always go MJ, right? Every time I got to put at least something on MJ. And then for some reason, I love 35 and 36. Those are my 2 numbers, or 3 numbers, but there's a couple other ones that I like. KG, 21. But same thing. I'll literally ride that all night. I'll lose the whole time, but once it hits, I'm like.
I like 18. I don't know why 18 has always been a good number.
Are you on the low side? Do you like the low numbers?
So I do. When I bet on the inside, it's 17, 20, and 23.
Yeah,
those are the 3.
17. Yep. And those 2 are black, right? 17, 20 are black, 23 is red.
Yep.
And I will occasionally throw the old 0 and double 0 out there too.
Little insurance.
Yeah. I don't play roulette very much because we don't really have it around here.
Okay.
But if we go to Vegas on that, I could literally just stay there all day and play roulette. It is like
just the sound of it.
Just heard the person throwing, spinning the ball, and just I don't know. I'm obsessed with roulette when I'm out there.
Obviously, that's a game that you're going to lose your money on because the house has the advantage big time. But like you said, it's the anticipation of seeing the ball roll. You're just waiting for it, and then so a buddy of mine, we met and played golf together. He's one of the guys I started playing golf with all the time, and he's from Michigan, but he lived here in Oklahoma, and we would go to the casino. So every year he comes back, we'll have like a little guys golf trip and go to the casino, just, play a little bit. And 23 hit 3 or 4 times in a row. And so the first time I think I had $10, $15 on 23. So it was a really good payout.
You were sitting
and
good.
so
35 to 1.
Yeah.
35 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I doubled my bet. I think I had $30 on it the next time, the very second row, and they hit again.
Oh,
and man. So I was like, there's no way. So I ended up putting 50 on it the third spin, and it hit a third time in a row. And I was like, this is
crazy.
It. I was like, I'm done. I'm cashing out. So I cashed out. And so I made really good money. Then the next night we're like, hey, let's go to the Hard Rock, which is the other casino.
Okay.
Oh man, I lost. I don't think I won a single spin that night, and I was like, it was just, I guess, just a karma for winning so much the night before.
Just depends on if you're on a heater. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like the anticipation, and again, it all depends too on the atmosphere of who's on the table with you. I mean, in my opinion, I just love the atmosphere. So it's like if you get some like quiet, cranky people out there, granted they could have lost a lot of money beforehand, but I like to have a good time and like let's. Throwing out professional NBA numbers out there, like then everyone's like, "Oh, okay, I know that guy." You know what I mean? So he said, "MJ."
That's half the fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's half the fun of the people around you. That because what's happened, what I've noticed is someone will bet big on a number, and then someone else will follow.
Yep.
And so like everyone's like, "Well, I can't be the only one out there, so let me add to it." And then if that hit, everyone just goes crazy. But I try not to gamble too much. I probably go maybe once or twice a year to the casino, but that's about it. But when I go, roulette's usually the game I play.
Well, if we ever link up, we'll save that night of gambling. We'll go out there. That would be a blast.
God.
I'd love to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like a blast. And I know you're a big basketball head too, as far as sports goes, NBA, right? You like the NBA. What do you think? Are you a big NBA fan or no?
I funny enough, for the past year and a half, I haven't watched it.
Okay.
It's because it's like if I could nix one thing because of time, it was the NBA. PGA is staying there, golf staying there. It's just it had to be something. So it's the NBA.
I was just trying to see if your take was on the finals. I know it's 2-1 now. Suns are up 2-1, so I didn't know.
I think the Suns are going to pull it out. I think they've got a lot of momentum. So I'm pulling for the Suns.
I'd like to see CP3 win one.
Yeah.
Chris Paul stud. Kind of one of the last few true point guards, kind of the old school point guard, you know.
Yep. That's the main reason why I'd pick the Suns.
Sure. Well,
I like their logo better.
Their logo is pretty dope.
That's just what it is. It's not the Wolves. I don't really care.
And so I like Giannis, and I like that the Milwaukee Bucks, they're a small market team, obviously, but they're in Wisconsin. We're right next door. I'm not a Wisconsin fan, unfortunately. So for all you Wisconsiners out there.
Yeah, we don't like Ohio either.
No, I do. I don't mind Ohio.
No.
That's just not talking. I don't.
Well, you know.
I mean,
you get the dominance of Ohio State.
Yeah, you got a good team over there in Ohio State. So,
yeah, when Urban left, I was a little concerned that the recruiting was going to drop off because Ryan Day's a great coach, but he's a young one.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they've just continued to be dominant in the recruiting class. Number one in 2021 and 2022, both classes are just phenomenal. So
I was excited.
College football is going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few years because of the expansion of the playoffs that's supposed to happen, plus the NIL stuff. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of college football.
I was excited when he left because I'm like, oh my God, the Gophers have a chance. And then no,
they don't.
No, not a chance.
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they both go to the U, but not super big, football fans. But I'm definitely like, we need to go out to a game because hopefully they'll turn the program around a little bit. Flex kind of, he's hit or miss. I don't mind him. I like his demeanor, but we'll see.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
Well, Lou, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Like I said, by far my favorite interview. Said I love that. I mean, it just flows so naturally with the shoes and just golf talk in general. We'll definitely let's do this again. And again, we'll get the free giveaway going. I think we're going to end it. When are we going to end it?
Should we talk about it?
Yeah, well, let's let us run till. Do you want to let it run till the end of the week, like Sunday?
Yeah, that'll work.
I think that's what I have it set to.
Yeah, I think so too.
So the rules are you follow
all 3 accounts.
Yep. So LeaderBoard Customs, Stay for Golf, and then the podcast.
Yep.
And then you came up with the idea for trivia, which I thought was smart. I like that we didn't do it at the beginning, like the first 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like they actually have to find it.
And hopefully people are listening. That's what we want. I mean, that's kind of the whole goal, right? I think it's an interesting story. I like to hear. That's why I'm so excited to have you on. Just kind of
So I think we'll do it. Like we'll do a draw, and then we'll ask them one of the rapid questions, and we should probably write down the answers to the rapid questions. So I think
I got them all figured out.
So we don't forget it, because otherwise I'll forget. But yeah, super easy. We're giving away a pair of the Stars and Stripes Roshis.
This is all LeaderBoard Customs. He's taking his own time to do a free pair at your own size.
God, that's so cool. I'm jealous.
So yeah, someone's going to win an awesome pair of customs. I was going to ask you before we get off, do you have do you go to like a Marshall's or like a store and like buy stuff and then or do you, as most people bring in, because you normally just do mostly new shoes. I know you did my Tigers. They were used, but they're fairly clean. But do you
have like a Nike guy? Because I used to have a Nike guy where I'd be like, hey, I want that, and they'd be like, good luck.
Plug.
Yeah.
I wish I had a Nike guy. That would be super dope. But no, the one thing I don't do is I don't try to buy from Marshalls and those places because I don't know if a lot of people know this or not. A lot of those are the outlets can be B grades.
Yep.
And some of them can be like they have little flaws. And so I don't want to start a custom off with having something wrong with the shoe. And so I think I've maybe done one pair because the guy wanted me to get this specific pair and I couldn't find them anywhere. And so he was like, hey, they've got them in my local Marshalls. I'll buy them and ship them to you. So it's probably 70% that I buy the shoe from Nike or Puma or, Adidas, whoever it is from, and versus maybe someone already has that pair that they've not worn that they'll send into me. Okay. I like buying the shoe for two reasons. One, I get them and I can inspect them, because I actually did a pair. You guys may remember the master themes that I did this year. I did only 5 pair. One of the guys that ordered them, the shoe was messed up, and it was right before I was getting ready to customize them that I noticed it. So I had to send them back and get another pair in his size. And so that keeps it from then shipping back to the customer, and then them shipping it back to Nike. And then,
the middleman.
Yeah. Right. And then 2, also it saves on shipping costs for the customer. So if they order the shoes and ship them to their house, they then got to pay to ship them to me. Where I can do it, I can just have them shipped straight to me and save them money. So
I'm glad I asked that. That was one thing that I was going to ask a while ago, because most people probably didn't know that ordering them through a Marshall's or like an outlet type of store, it's different quality or different grades.
Not everything in outlets are B grades. I think that's a common misconception, but a lot of them where you get like the big bulk boxes, like I think the most recent one for me was like the CP313s or whatever. Were they the ones with the yellow, or is that the mellow 13s, whatever? There was like a black and then like a golden yellow pair of 13s. And like half of them went to the outlet because they're all B grades and nobody knew that. And they're like, oh, these are at the outlet. And I'm like, well, yeah, go look at them. Like they're a little screwy, but if you're going to wear them, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Well, another reason why I asked is because I was at Marshall's and I didn't pull the trigger, but they had like 6 or 7 pairs of the white and black Roshis. And they all look pretty clean, and they were $24.99. I'm like, it's hard.
Yeah, if you can look at them and you can see that there's not big flaws on them, like sometimes even B grades can, just because there's a minor defect, and so they can't really sell them in the stores. I just noticed that a lot of the ones I've bought personally have some type of defect, and sometimes it can just be like a aesthetic, or sometimes it can be the way they're made. Sure. And so that would be the worst thing, is to do a custom and have someone pay like a big amount for them, and then they can't wear them. So I'm okay if people buy them from them and ship them to me if they've inspected them, and then ship them. But I won't go to do it just to save money. Sure. I'll try to get it straight from the manufacturer before I do. I was going to send you a message to him like, yeah, there was a whole bunch of them. And of course, the next day I went and they were gone. So I was like, I should have bought a couple. They had 2 in my size, and I was like, but whatever.
I actually have one last question.
Yeah.
Where did the name LeaderBoard Customs come from? Other than like,
that's a great question.
Is it just purely because golf has like a leaderboard and you're doing customs, or is there like a story behind it?
So I probably had 3 or 4 final names that I was thinking about, and my wife and I discussed it, and it was like, I wanted to gear towards the golf community, but I also didn't want to limit myself only golf. So there is like, do I want to do LeaderBoard Customs, or do I want to do something else? And so I eventually did go with LeaderBoard Customs, because probably 90% of the stuff I've done so far is golf related. Mm-hmm. And that's something I have a passion for. So I'll probably continue that route. But with that said, I want to get into the football cleats, and I want to do some of that. So if there's anyone listening who's an NFL player, go ahead and hit me up, and we'll get something worked out. But that was probably the one that and actually my wife came up with it, so credit to her. So when she said that, I was like, I didn't want to say yes right away. I was like, let me think about it, but I knew as soon as she said it, I was like, yes, that's a pretty cool name. So,
well, shout out to your wife. Again, Luke, thanks so much for taking your time. I know we kind of went longer than we just kind of said flowed pretty well. So I appreciate you taking the time to hop on here, and said we'll have to do this again, in the near future.
Yeah, thank you guys for all the support, and thank you for what you guys do. And again, I'm super excited about being on here, and thank you. And I look forward to maybe another episode. But you guys are killing it. It's fun to listen to. So keep it up.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a good night. Take care.
You too. See you guys.
Yep. Thank you.